All right. We are back from All-Star break. Welcome back, everybody. We are back. The Knicks won 115 to 109 versus the Washington Wizards on the first ever Friday night Knicks post All-Star break. Bringing their record to 34 and 27. Moving them and inching them closer to the coveted 5 seed spot that the Brooklyn Nets occupy. Currently the Brooklyn Nets are getting waxed by the Chicago Bulls. The Miami Heat are actually getting clobbered by the Bucks. And Cleveland is getting beat by Atlanta. So playoff spots. They are up for grabs. I think in the Knicks' eyes. Um, Knicks tonight were led by none other than Julius Randle, the two-time All-Star, who spent All-Star weekend bricking it up on All-Star Saturday night, but having himself a nice, fun 11 points on Sunday. He led the way tonight with 46 points, and seven threes. Shout out to him for not rebounding. He didn't care about, I guess, the glass tonight or anyone's parlays, but that's another conversation for another day. Mitchell Robinson made his mighty return tonight. 10 points, 12 rebounds in 28 minutes of action with a steal and a block. So, picking up kind of where he left off. It was good to see him, clean up on the offensive glass tonight. Um and yeah, and then we had Quickly, who was the second leading scorer tonight with 16 points off the bench. Hit some timely threes. And just continue to mix it up with the inside outside game, which we've all come to love. And he's even made some rounds in people's six man of the year articles. So that's good to see that the hype is gaining. He's gaining some steam in the six man of the year talks, even though the PPG doesn't really reflect it, and it's a PPG award. But yeah, I thought Julius Randle, he absolutely didn't play a good first quarter, but like from the second quarter on, he absolutely turned it on and looked like a superstar for the rest of the night. I don't know what flipped that switch in him that like he just automatically just decided to just like
Kyle
turn
Kuzma
on
doing the two
offense.
Yeah,
small
did you not see the Kuzma too small celebration?
No,
That's
I
what
did. I missed that actually. I
Oh,
missed it.
that's what flipped the switch. Like
Oh
we
wow.
talk about it in every post game. Like Randall is a lock when he has one-on-one motivation. Like Sam, you always say like his best games come against Sabonis or anybody who's perceived as an all in the All-Star conversation with Randall. Well, Randall was just cruising along, and then Kuzma had that bucket, and he does the too small celebration right in Randall's face. And literally from that moment on, Randall was just like, "All right, fuck you, like let's go." And so that is what happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then from there he had like a couple dunks. He had that steal. He had that steal where he looked like LeBron on the fast break, and he went up and under for the layup. He hit a bunch of threes tonight. I mean, he definitely picked up the slack in a night where Jalen Brunson did not have it going at all offensively. He did have Brunson did have 9 assists, so he was able to dish out tonight, but didn't have it going. I mean, there was a bunch of bunnies and like shots that he usually takes and makes that he just didn't make tonight. Um, but yeah, it was just great to see Julius Randle be able to pick up for that slack. And carry the team to a dub tonight when this team looked like they were dead in the water. They were down 19 in the second quarter, and they're able to muster enough to beat this Washington Wizards squad that hasn't been that much of a pushover lately. So yeah.
Yep. Brunson was stuck in Tulum until the last minute of the fourth quarter. The way Obi Toppin looked like he was tanned, he might have been there with him. But that's a wild tan Obi Toppin had, by the way. I had to just talk about that real quick. But yeah, that is what you expect from someone like Julius Randle. I think at this point, not obviously the 46 points, but like you expect him to be able to pick up the slack like that. And I think it's especially good for Randle because the last 3 years out of the All Star break, he's been dreadful. Like 2020, he had his worst game of the season. 2021, worst game of the season against the Bucks in that blowout. 2022, like that game against the Heat where RJ goes up from 46. They win that game, and right now it's a decent game. He went 2 for 15. So yeah, so like to flip the switch like this, to be as efficient as he was, 7 to 7 from the line as well as the big thing. Um, Didn't miss a free throw. Got to the line 7 times, so got it to his average. 7 threes, of course.
Can I just say, Tyrese, you brought up the free throw shooting. I really liked how the game was called tonight. Like, I thought the only thing I want out of an official is for it to be consistent, and I'd always prefer it leaned on less calls than more calls. And I thought they swallowed their whistles pretty equally on both ends. I don't know what you guys thought, but I was really, really pleased with how the refs called that game tonight. I thought it was great from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even notice the officials tonight. Like, for the first time in a long time, I didn't really notice them, and like that was a good thing. Like, finally, like a game where I can watch from start to finish and be like, this is like I watched some basketball tonight. I didn't watch like the refs like blow their whistle and like free throw parades on either side. Like, it was good to see. So yeah.
Yep. And that's good. That's good. Like when the refs aren't like dictating the game and you feel like everything is so ticky tacky, like they let them play physical tonight. And that's what you'd like to see. Obviously, you want to see guys that get on the ground and scrap it out and stuff. I think the Knicks probably lead the league in loose ball fouls, but like that's the only tic tac I have. Like, dude, every time we go for a box out, there's a loose ball foul against the Knicks. It's annoying, but otherwise, good game, good ref game, and a great game for a win.
And to go along with your point, Tyrese, that specific foul that you just brought up, it seems to be like a double standard. Like when the Knicks are going for an offensive rebound, they get called for going for an offensive rebound. But when the other team is going for an offensive rebound, the Knicks get called for stopping them from going for an offensive rebound. Like either way, it's against the Knicks. It's it's really interesting that you brought that up because that's something I've noticed too. The loose ball fouls really seem to go against the Knicks like whenever possible.
Yep.
The only comment I have, I mean, you guys both killed it in the opening monologue. So the only add-on I have to say is like, these are not the slightly younger version of ourselves Knicks anymore. This team is different because that first half by the Wizards was preposterous. Like it would have been totally reasonable for the Knicks to just lose that game because like the Wizards got hot in like a totally undeserving manner. Like I don't mean that in like a complaining way. I'm just saying like the Knicks were playing fine. Their starters outplayed the Wizards starters to start the game. And the Knicks process was really good and they couldn't get anything to fall and their defense was really good and the Wizards were getting everything to fall. And then like the second quickly came in and the benches started getting in. It's like the Wizards had developed this momentum that was kind of like they didn't really do anything to create it. It was just shots were falling and they were like a runaway train. And all of a sudden the Knicks were down 19. And like, we've all been watching the Knicks for, decades. Like how many times have we seen stuff like that happen and the Knicks just kind of fold, like it's just like, okay, on to the next game. And this team it's not just that they didn't fold. It didn't even occur to them that they were going to lose. They just like quickly hit a three to go from 19 to 16 and boom, off they were. Randall comes back in, he puts the team on his back. And like, it wasn't even surprising that they had cut it to 4 before halftime. It was a really inspiring effort, but it's also a nice summation of where this team's at right now. Like they're just going to compete and they're not a perfect team. They're not going to win a title this year. I think we can all agree. Maybe they'll surprise us, but I don't think they're going to win a championship. But they're a really likable team headed in a really good direction. And there's going to be a couple of inflection points that really make or break what the ceiling of this collection of players is. But those moments will come when they come. Right now, I'm just enjoying watching this team. And it was just another really inspiring effort from them.
Yeah, the Wizards were hitting absolute, I would love for us to get that type of like the 3-point shooting luck that our opponents get. I would love for us to get at least like a slither of that, just a slither of that. Because like, man, what did they hit? Like 11 threes in like the first half, and that was like how much they usually make per game on the year. They finished with 19, so like they obviously like everything kind of like slowed down for them. But man, Porzingis was insane in that first quarter. What was it, like 5 for 5, 19 points? Yep. Like Man, I
then
thought
And
he was
that
gonna
was
have
that
like
was
a
like
40
that was
point
bad.
game.
That was bad process. I think we can all agree. Like there was a lot of specifically guarding Staps. Like he was just walking into open threes because we forgot that you can't just you can't just abandon pick and pop centers to protect the rim when they're not going to the rim.
Well, that's what we get in a Thibs defense. That's the scheme, and DeLon Wright too. Shout out to JL in the comments. DeLon Wright 5 threes. That was insane too.
That's when you know that like there is a God in the building, because there's no way a house that's blessed by our Lord and Savior is getting DeLon Wright 5 threes. Like a game where DeLon Wright had DeLon Wright even hit 5 threes in a game before.
No.
I'm curious.
No.
I'm honestly curious that if he had his career high in threes against us,
Yeah.
you can't tell me that this is about.
Yeah, of course.
And I actually think
someone's gonna have a career game against us.
Okay, he hit it once for Sacramento, and once for Toronto. But
the DeLon Wright threes, from a basketball standpoint, I think are really interesting because I think like 4 of them came with Quickly as the primary defender, and there's a big difference, or not a big difference. There's when Hardenstein leaves Staps to protect the rim, when the defender who's on the ball handler is with him, that is Hardenstein misunderstanding Tibbs' scheme. And that's not on that is on Hardenstein, and it is on scheme. It's on both of them. When Quickly hedges off of Wright because a ball handler is beat, that is Quickly doing exactly what the scheme asks of him, and that is entirely on the point of attack defense. And so you just need, like, I feel like a lot of people, their analysis of defense is blame the person who's closest to the shooter. And I feel like that difference is one way to sort of like learn about NBA defense, because the only reason Quickly is hedging off Wright on those threes is because the ball handler gets beat at the point of attack. It's Quickly's job to cut him off on his way into the basket. Like that's part of what makes Quickly so good, is like, it's what Frank did a lot when Frank was a Knick, is sort of like he's a Band-Aid for a bullet wound almost sometimes, like he notices a leak in the defense and he cleans it up. And when he does that, somebody else has to hedge onto Wright, and they weren't doing that. So it was on Quickly to hedge and recover. And I sound really nerdy right now, but I just think stuff like that is really interesting because, like Sam said, the pick and pop stuff is simple. Like you don't need to protect the rim when Staps isn't diving and the defender is like, that's unnecessary rim protection, and it's stubbornness from scheme. But sometimes it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Yep, I agree. Defense is hard to quantify, and I do feel like we kind of defense is hard to quantify in terms of like if you're watching it, and you could be like, okay, well this guy's supposed to help here, but this guy's closer, so like we're gonna blame this guy for not being able to like stop an open shot. And sometimes you just hit shots. That's also a big thing about defense. It's like sometimes you can play the best defense you can play in your life, and the guy hits the shot anyway. Like the game yesterday, Harden in the corner is like trailing out of bounds and then hits that wild 3 over, I think it was Brooks, but like that's just how the NBA works sometimes. To the original point though, like, yeah, I didn't think the defense was bad. I didn't think the defense was bad. I thought the process was good overall. I think that was one of our better process games. The Wizards just hit a bunch of shit. And they always hit a bunch of shit against us because the last game in MSG, they had the same thing where like they were just unspeakably hot from 3. I really do think it's like the fact that they do have that stretch 5 that complicates things for a lot of this defense. But like, yeah, I don't know. The Wizards just go off against Knicks all the time. It's weird. It's always fucking weird.
And like, again, to go back to what I was talking about when I first started, like about what a win that was and how this isn't the same Knicks. That's a good Wizards team. Like that's not a bad team. That's a good team that's finally getting healthy. They've won a couple games in a row. They've got a lot of good players. And when you have a lot of good players who are all hitting shots, to on the road keep your composure and just pull out a win like that. Like let's not understate this. This was a really impressive win from the Knicks, especially when you consider that, like Sam said, their second leading scorer was quickly off the bench with 16 points. They did this with Jalen Brunson going 6 for 20. They did this with RJ Barrett having another really, really bad half. They did this with Obi Toppin having another really, really bad first half. Like, there's a lot of things we can point to and be like, that wasn't the best tonight. But nobody gave up. Nobody mailed it in. They all – I think I can find a positive in what everybody did tonight. If we went through down the line, I can tell you in that second half something that every player did that contributed to that win. Obi Toppin was in the passing lane and he had that steal. He had that back cut. Quickly should have found him for the lob. He got a couple of huge rebounds. RJ played his best shift of, the month to start the fourth quarter. And on we go. This was a great team win.
But going back to quickly, he had some great defensive moments in this game that I want to highlight, by the way. There was this one play on Kendrick Nunn, who's an absolute scrub, by the way. But yeah, Kendrick Nunn was like trying to get past Emmanuel Quickly, and he was like dribbling in the corner, and like Quickly was just letting him get like nowhere, and it just resulted in a Kendrick Nunn air ball. There was another play where Quickly was on Kuzma and forced him to lose the ball. Although there was some help by, I believe it was either Brunson or someone else, but yeah, Quickly his defense, continues to be amazing every night, and tonight was just another one of those nights where it was amazing, and I just felt the need to highlight those two plays because those two plays they really stuck out to me.
And I want to give Schwinn some props here. Something he talked about a few months ago. Quickly is like, he's obviously not Draymond Green, and he'll never be Draymond Green. He's too small. But one thing he does that's very Draymond Green-like, he gets caught in a lot of like 1-on-2, 1-on-3 situations where he breaks up like he had 2 of those tonight. He had 2 1-on-2s where he was just back by himself and they didn't score. He's just like, yeah, your point was spot on. His defense is everything to this team right now.
He is pivotal to what the Knicks want to run offensively, defensively. He is pivotal to like covering up those gaps, like you said. He is the ultimate glue guy, I think, because he can do anything you ask for him. And he can come in and start. He can play off the bench. He can play 15 minutes. He can play 40 minutes. He can play offense. He can play defense. And it's like those types of players are rare in the league. And it also helps them when you have another guy like that in Josh Hart, who can like not do it to the extent that Quickly does, because Quickly can do more as a self-creator. But like you saw it tonight with Josh Hart, like those loose balls he was diving for, he had like 3 that he dived for in like 2 minutes that like changed the tide of the game, and it gave the team a lot of momentum. And just all grittiness and hustle. Like you're not finding that from a lot of guys. So it's like those two especially, and they're closing games now, as you can see. So it's center of the night, Brunson, Randall, and then IQ and Hart. And I expect that to be the closing lineup for a lot of games going down this stretch, especially if RJ is going to be kind of mediocre for the most part. And I know he had a good shooting game tonight. I would still consider it like fairly mediocre. But yeah, 27 minutes compared to Hart's 27 minutes and Quickly playing 30. So
I just want to push back there a little bit. I thought this was a good RJ game. I thought early on his process on both ends was good. Look, eventually shots have to go in. Like he's going to be limited as a player if he's going to just keep having these 1-for-6 stretches where he gets to good. Like we can't just keep propping him up because of his ability to get to spots. But he had a couple of really loud, bad plays, like, the fast break to end the first half where he just got stripped. He had a couple of missed layups. But I thought overall he made the passes he's supposed to make, including that just absolute dime to Mitch. I thought he shot the shots from good spot. Honestly, I thought the worst shot he took all night was a pull-up 15-footer that he made. Aside from that, I liked pretty much every shot he took. And most importantly, I thought he was committed for all 27 minutes he was on the court defensively. Sam brought up a couple plays quickly made. One play that really stood out for me defensively was a play when Obi got just torched on a back cut by Bradley Beal. And the paint was wide open because Stapps was playing center. Literally, it should have been a layup. And RJ anticipated Obi getting beat and helped off his guy to beat Beal to the paint and stripped him and knocked it out of bounds. I thought RJ was really good defensively. I thought this was a really good RJ game, if I'm being honest. I don't think it was mediocre. And I think you could have made an argument that I don't think you can not play Brunson down the stretch of games because of one bad game. I think Brunson's going to play, and I think that's okay. But I think you could have legitimately made an argument with how the Wizards were playing down the stretch to just go Brunson, quickly, Hart, RJ, and Randall. And because
yep. I want to see it. I want to see it so bad. I would never see it, and I want to see it.
The Knicks' best defense was Randall on Stapps. That was it. Like their best defense was Randall on Stapps and Hart on Kuzma, and that would have left quickly or RJ on Beal. But that's fine. Like we would have had an answer for all their guys. Mitch got beat on the offensive glass multiple times. I know he hit one of their game's biggest shots, but I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think because I spoke earlier about the inflection points of this franchise. I think what Tibbs does down the stretch of these games with those four guys, Grimes, RJ, Quickly, and Hart, is going to be really big for this franchise because it determines how many minutes those guys play each night. And honestly, it kind of dictates like their individual happiness. These guys want to be out there. And so I think that's more reason for Tibbs to get creative. Like sometimes you can't just always have Mitch out there. Sometimes you have to play three of those guys together and be okay with sacrificing some rim protection. And I thought tonight was one of those nights.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I that was one of the things that I was most curious about once we acquired Josh Hart is like, okay, what's going to happen when three or all four of those guys have it really going on a night? Like, what do you do? Like, how do you make the decision of who gets to close, who doesn't? There are plenty of opportunities in this league for us to like go small and have Randall at the 5 and stuff like that, and have like 4 guards / wings out there with Randall, and do different stuff like that. But with this coach, it's never going to happen, unfortunately, because he has a one set mindset of how like the 5 position should be played on the court. So he's going to have a certain player out there, and it's going to come to the detriment of the other 4 wing / guard guys.
And the thing is that I actually recorded it because I'm insane, and I actually thought I was pretty proficient. On a space after the Knicks last game, I went on like just this crazy rant about Tibbs, even though it was after a win. This stuff is going to matter in the playoffs because the margins are much thinner. And unless we're just beating the brakes off teams, which is really hard to do in the playoffs, especially when you're a 4 or 5 seed or a 6 seed, these things come down to the thinnest of margins, and opposing teams are going to have an answer for your first punch. They just are. And if the Knicks have to go small, which you're going to have to do against the Bucks, you're going to have to do that against the Bucks. I get if we play Embiid, it's not going to happen. I get the Cavs are a really good matchup for us because they're not going to be able to play Mitch off the court. Mitch is going to be able to play against the Cavs. But if we have to play the Bucks or if we have to play the Celtics, there's going to come a time when we have to play Randall at center. And we will be woefully unprepared for that moment. We just will be. And so I want everyone who is rightfully happy about these games, they should be, who's feeling good about the Knicks, to remember this come to playoff time. Because everyone has to understand there's a range of outcomes. And yes, the Knicks can win playoff series. I think they can win 2 playoff series if the dice roll correctly, But there are going to be outcomes where they lose in the first round. And if they lose in the first round, I don't want to fucking hear that this team needs more talent, that this team wasn't good enough to win a playoff series, that this is why you need a superstar, when there were obvious team-building decisions that Tibbs has refused to make low-hanging fruit decisions that Tibbs has refused to make that are, in my opinion, are going to hurt us in the playoffs. I don't want to hear that, oh, this is why we should have traded for Donovan Mitchell. That's bullshit. This team is good enough to win a playoff series, and we're seeing it every night right now. And I couldn't agree with Sam more that some of the stuff that we're seeing right now, it may seem small, it may seem unimportant. It's going to matter when the games start to matter more. And so, yeah, that's part of my rant, I guess.
I mean, you're right. You're definitely right. I do want to see that lineup you talked about where it's like Brunson, Hart, IQ, RJ, Randall. I do feel like, especially against the Cavs, that's the lineup you can run because like the Cavs can't beat you in rim protection and rebounding because Jared Allen is good at a lot of things, but offensive rebounding is not like something that he excels at, and Mobley neither to that point. I do think the Knicks have gotten to the point where, like, maybe in years past you could say, well, they need to play a certain style because ultimately this team is untalented. Like 2020, 2021, like, you could argue that because it was really Randall, RJ, to a lesser extent, like Burks and IQ and Rose, but, like, they had to play one way, and ultimately speaking, they weren't going to be able to, like, go on that run that they went on if they were, like, experimenting and they were, like, doing a bunch of different things. Now with 2 stars, and I think we all agree that like they have 2 stars. I do think you're able, like when you have that like baseline of competence that I think the Knicks have, you should be able to experiment more. I know they probably won't do it because ultimately they're still in the playoff race and they're still like facing the play-in. Despite the fact that they're gonna have a game and a half up on the Heat, you're still actively like in a play-in situation, and you're only in the 6th seed, so like you definitely have to play with some caution. But even for like a couple minutes and a half, or even to like close a game competently, like they need to be able to practice going small. They need to be able to practice having different configurations of players on the court, especially when regards to like their trusted 7, which is starting lineup, and then Hart and IQ. So that's going to be big for this team going forward. Maximizing those players is going to be very big. And I don't know if we're going to do it this year. I'm even saying they're not doing it this year. I think next year, yeah. I do think next year.
What about this one, Tyrese? This is a really easy one. Brunson played 39 minutes tonight because any possession where Jalen Brunson isn't on the court terrifies Tibbs. The Knicks opened the 4th quarter with 4 straight possessions where they scored, maybe 3 or 4 straight possessions where they scored, led by RJ and Quickly. The pace was pushed. They looked great. They play 1 possession where Quickly forces up a bad shot. RJ gets the offensive rebound, finds Josh Hart. Josh Hart misses an open 3. As the Wizards are taking the ball up half court, you see Tibbs calling for Brunson. We can't just play Brunson 48 minutes. Like that's insane. That's not a sustainable thing. That's just both for the short and the long term. He's hurting the team building by not letting Quickly and RJ have these growing pains in these moments. That isn't even like I'm not even asking Tibbs to change his way of needing a rim protector on the court. I'm asking him to let Quickly and RJ live a little bit on the court. Brunson can't play 40 minutes a night every single game for the rest of the night, especially on a night like tonight when he's 6 for 20 and he was actively hurting the team on both ends. Like, I'm going to make a crazy analogy here, but it makes sense to me. Stephen A. Smith once said, white quarterbacks have to prove they can't play. African-American quarterbacks have to prove they can play. Fucking Quickly has to prove he can play, and Brunson has to prove he can't. Quickly, like, that's how Tibbs coaches games. The guys he likes have to prove they can't play, and the lineups he doesn't like have to prove they can't play. He literally freaks out anytime the lineups he doesn't like have 1 bad possession. They have 1 bad possession. It's call for Randall, call for Brunson. And, yeah, this is a way to raise your floor as a regular season team because yeah, it's good to have your best players on the court a lot, but it's not a way to build a well-rounded team that can throw different looks at you, that can succeed in different ways which is necessary in the playoffs. I'm going to say it again. There's a reason this guy's only won 4 playoff series in his entire life. It's because he's not prepared for the moments when his team's A game isn't working. And that's just another example of it. He can't just go back to Brunson when Quickly and RJ have a single bad possession. That's hurting the team, in my opinion. Sorry for the whack analogy.
No, that was a good one. Damn, I've not heard him say that in a while. Crazy. Oh, he's right though. He's right. Stephen A. Smith, philosopher. But yeah, the rigidity of this team does help in terms of like this team wants to make the playoffs, ultimately speaking. But those growing pains are going to be evident, and it doesn't really feel like growing pains. It just kind of feels like Quickly can run a point. Quickly is good. He's not like he's having a bad game. Like he had 15 points tonight on I think 12 shots, 11 shots. Yeah, 16 points on 11 shots. Something was short. He missed a free throw. Also, goddamn free throws. But yeah, it just kind of feels like this is a game where, like, I get it. The game is close, but it's also like you're gonna have close games in playoffs, and Brunson is going to be running like
against better opponents too than the Wizards.
Yeah, and I know the Wizards have been on a really good groove right now, but it's also like the Knicks need to. Hell, tomorrow there's a back-to-back. Like we're playing a back-to-back. Like
against the Pelicans team that's going to be hungry for a win because they've been reeling lately.
And Brandon Ingram is a really good player, despite the fact that he gets hurt a lot. He's still a really good player. They still have Valanciunas and CJ McCollum, so like they have a squad. So it just kind of feels like this is a game where it's like you can't sell out for this game because you might not have anything left for next game, and you took a lot of energy coming back from 19 points. Like the fact that Quickly and RJ are still like keeping you in the game, you're not like down 6 or whatever. Like you're fairly competitive in the game. Like can you buy Brunson 2 or 3 more minutes? And I kind of feel like that needs to be the mindset where it's like, can we buy these guys time off the court? And they've been able to do it. They just, for some reason, not for some reason, but it just kind of feels like this coach does not want to. He wants to play his guys as much as possible, and just kind of feels like that's good and all. It's great when they're able to play, but like you cannot sacrifice every possession. You cannot treat it like Game 7 because when the actual Game 7 comes, like we're not going to be prepared.
You're going to be in trouble.
And the other thing is that when the playoffs come, other teams are getting better because, Giannis is playing like 32, 33 minutes a night, right?
Yes.
So Giannis in the big games, in the big close games, is going to go from 32, 33 to 39, 40. Tatum is playing 45 minutes a game in the playoffs, but he's playing 33, 34 minutes a night in the regular season.
He's playing 37 right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought I saw somewhere that somebody's leading the league in minutes per game with like 36 or something.
Siakam's leading the league in like 38.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, 37. But still, point is these guys' minutes are still going to go up. It's really hard to believe that Brunson and Randall's minutes are going to go up. I'm pretty sure Tibbs is just going to do the same. And so what we're all seeing right now is why Tibbs teams plateau. And it's why they look really good in the regular season. And, I think we're a really talented team. So I actually think this version of this team can do damage in the playoffs still when other teams get better. It's just more of a like we need to start being able to throw different looks, and I don't know.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna jump into the ad read before we do some comments. Oh man. All right. Let me find the ad read. I just had it up. All right. The action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this winter. With tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports, you can fuel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's right. Make your first bet up to $1,000, and if it doesn't win, you get another shot to cash in. You can throw down on all the major action for basketball, hockey, and soon baseball. Plus, with same game parlays, spreads, money lines, over unders, and props, your betting options feel endless. All right. I'm not going to talk about my betting failures today. We will save that for another day.
Call the
Best
number.
of no. We're fine. Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TBPN. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code TBPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes or short description for details. All right, people, excuse me. I have a sinus infection. That's why I sound like this. All right.
Nasally ass Pop Smoke.
All right. Chris Bernhard says, so 2 things. Adam Silver should be jailed for how awful All-Star Weekend is now. It was saved by a G Leaguer. And 2, which star is asking out so we can send RJ, and he puts in parentheses, never buy jerseys, people.
Kawhi.
Kawhi's not asking out.
Okay.
He asked out once, and that was out of character for him, and he's never doing it again.
Okay. When the Clippers fucking tank their season because they signed Russell Westbrook and they go out round 1, and the Clippers are like, we're blowing it up because this team sucks and we're not going anywhere.
I'm with Tyrese. If the Clippers, I think we should all be rooting for the Clippers for rooting round 1.
Yes, they're going to lose round 1. Are we kidding me? Come on,
dude. You can't underestimate Kawhi and Paul George in the playoffs. They can beat any of these Western Conference teams.
And I'm going to underestimate Russell Westbrook getting starter minutes. I've never seen the team tank their the fact that their odds went down after they signed Russell Westbrook should tell you how bad Russell Westbrook has been.
It's crazy. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. It was like the Lakers games were always so funny when Russ would be like questionable and then he would be ruled out and the Lakers would become more likely to win. How do people not get it?
Insane.
If the players were to start today, they would be playing the Suns in the 4-5 matchup. I also expect the Suns to win more games. If I think we're Suns might win more games. Wouldn't be surprised. Dallas won more games. They could be 6th. If they're going to be 6th, I mean, they'll be playing the Kings. So I don't know if you want to be 6th. But and they'll beat the Kings. Phoenix or a team if they're playing a team like Phoenix, or even if they get to the play-in and they're playing Denver or something. I don't know.
I mean, I think I'd take them over Sacramento, Memphis.
Yeah,
Sacramento and Memphis.
Yes.
And I think it's close to a flip against Dallas. I think they lose to Phoenix and I think they lose to Denver. But I will say I think they'd make life really difficult for Denver. They would. Ty Lue is a heck of a coach, and Steve Kerr kind of drew the map for how to attack Jokic. I think Jokic is becoming underrated as a regular season player. I think that this whole idea that because Jokic has a clear, attackable, exploitable issue in the playoffs, that makes him a less valuable regular season player is ridiculous. It's a regular season reward. He's clearly the most valuable player in the regular season. It's not close. Anybody who thinks Embiid or Giannis is close to him this year doesn't understand basketball. They just don't understand it. The guy, the RJ's shooting coach, the merchant who's robbing RJ blind right now, who's always yapping on Twitter about Embiid, has no fucking idea what he's talking about regarding players' value, because Jokic is so much more valuable than Embiid over the course of an 82 regular season. And everybody else is just crazy. All these teams, when Embiid, when Giannis, when Tatum, when they're all off the court, they all do way better than the Nuggets without Jokic. And the Nuggets are 10 points better than all these teams when Jokic plays, when their guys play. It's insane. It's not close. But
wouldn't it have to do more with, I guess, the Nuggets players too? What
do you mean?
How they are on the court without Jokic.
Well, okay.
Is it the system
okay. So
the system? No, I just want to propose this because it's just something I've been thinking about. But like the way that they play, isn't it? Because it's like it's kind of really over reliant on Jokic. So like when he sits, it's obviously there's obviously going to be like a decrease in the value in the how they play, right?
But like they still have Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. These are good basketball players, aren't they?
Yeah, but I mean, isn't the system so reliant on like how Jokic initiates and
Man.
sets up everything for them that like when he comes off,
I mean,
like
I guess
who's setting the table for those guys when he's off the floor?
I mean, if
Because like,
Jamal Murray was a good player, then he should be setting the table. But I digress.
I don't know. I just
yeah, he should, right?
I mean, I think the idea is like Jokic is so far and away the best player in the regular season.
I mean, I got Giannis as my MVP just because I mean what he's been able to do with Drew as his number 2 for almost the whole year has been pretty remarkable.
You're always hating on Drew.
Did you see Drew during All-Star weekend? I'm just saying.
No, he was missing floaters.
I'm just saying.
I can't breathe on here as a Drew Holiday fan without catching
you cannot.
shade.
No.
Having Drew as your number 2 for almost the whole year and getting 40 wins, that's pretty impressive, man.
Isn't like Drew was an all-star this year and Jamal Murray wasn't. I don't understand what we're talking about. And isn't
we all know Jalen Brunson should have got Drew Holiday's all-star spot.
Drew Holiday got paid all in the all-star game.
Jalen Brunson should have gotten like 6 people's all-star spots.
DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah. Yeah.
DeMar DeRozan didn't want to be there, dude.
I actually think, Sam, the point you made is a really interesting point, and I have to like digest it more because it's something I've always thought about with LeBron. Like LeBron plays such a heliocentric style of basketball that when he was off, like even with the Heat, when they had Wade and Bosh, like when LeBron wasn't playing, all the minutes LeBron was playing, they played one way. And then it's like, okay, now you guys got to figure it out when LeBron's not playing. And it's like, so I get what you're saying.
It's something that I noticed with the Mavs when Luka was out and like when Spencer Dinwiddie and them were hooping and stuff like that. It's just something that I noticed with like those really super heliocentric teams, the way like they play when their guy is on the court and when their guy is off, and like when they play the way they play when like the guy is like completely not in the game from start to finish in general too.
The thing is that Jokic is like a weird heliocentric player because he provides gravity like without touching the ball. Like he sets a screen and they have to. So like sort of what you're saying is that like only he can provide the screen setting that he does and like do that. But that's just sort of a compliment to how good he is, you know, like that's not really him being like a ball hog and hijacking the offense. Like I think it's an insult to Jokic to compare him to Luka from a helio standpoint, because I don't think he dominates the ball in that way at all. Like I think that I think Luka has very inflated assist numbers that come from just pure ball dominance. And like a lot of it is just like end of shot clock. Fine. Like he's a terrific passer. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that like, I think Jokic is kind of different. So I'll have to think about that more, but it still, I mean, like if, you know, we're playing like in a 2-on-2 friggin' basketball tournament, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but like I'm your teammate and Tyrese's teammate is like fucking Benji or something. And somehow you find a way to be better with me than Tyrese does with Benji. Like, yeah, Tyrese could be like, well, of course you look better with Jeff because Jeff sucks compared to Benji, but still you dragging me to more success than Tyrese with Benji would be kind of impressive, wouldn't it? Like, I don't know. I know that's not an apples to apples analogy, but like literally the Nuggets are like 8 points better per 100. Like these aren't small margins. This is like, they're better than the Bucks by the difference between like first and second. That by the difference between second and the rest of the league. Like he's turning the Nuggets into super teams when he plays without another all-star. We talked about Jokic long enough, but the original point I was just trying to make is that I think the Clippers with Ty Lue would take a page out of Kerr's book and in the playoffs kind of attack Jokic. And I think that the Clippers would give the Nuggets a hard time if they matched up in the playoffs.
So yeah, guys, we want Kawhi.
Yeah, exactly. That is where what I.
That's the long answer. That's the long version of that answer.
Also, side point: anybody who says they want Embiid has not watched Embiid past the first round of the playoffs. Stop it. I do not want to be in this fucking team. Like, stop it, dude. Like, oh my god, we're gonna do this whole song and dance again. Where like, if he shows up in the regular season and it's like, oh great, he's gonna miss out on the MVP. Top five, top five, top five. First round's gonna come. He's gonna get injured somehow, and the second round's gonna come, and it's gonna be like a team like the Bucks just absolutely destroying him, and like, or just the Celtics who like work him every time they play against each other. They're gonna stop him, or like, and then we're gonna be like, Joel Embiid is the greatest player to never make a conference final. Like, Jalen Brunson has had a better run in the playoffs than Embiid has ever had. Like, what are we doing here, man? Like, I get it. Joel Embiid is really, really flashy in regular season, but in the playoffs, he gets absolutely worked. I saw Marc Gasol take his soul. Okay, Marc Gasol took his soul. I saw Clint Capella bitch him for 8 turnovers in Game 6 and Game 7. I saw fucking Al Horford put the clamps on him, had him in the master lock. Like, the Heat,
master lock.
like the Heat absolutely put it, like, God, what, I don't know what people have watched, but like, we're talking about regular season success for Jokic and like playoffs for Jokic, but like Embiid is just coasting on Ben Simmons being a corpse of himself and James Harden's hamstring injury from last year. Like, that team is going nowhere. The team's going absolutely nowhere, and Embiid's a big reason why.
Yeah, I don't really feel a way about.
That's a little much for me. I gotta say, Tyrese. I mean, I don't think they're gonna get past the second round again, but I just think it's because Boston and Milwaukee are just better.
I agree, but it's also gonna be like the same thing where like Embiid gets out to like 22 points instead of 33 points, and it's gonna be on like he's gonna have like 4 turnovers a game in the series compared to like 2.5 assists or whatever. And like when he looks absolutely human against Tatum and Brown and stuff, and Horford is like giving him old man work in the low block, then like I'm just like,
I just feel like his coach is Doc Rivers and his second best player is James Harden. Let's aim the
But the problem is like he's not. It's not like because like, oh wow, he's having this great series and everybody else is sucking around him. Like, you can't say that about Embiid past the second round. You cannot, or past the first round. You can never be like, oh, Embiid had this really great series and like the rest of the team let him down. Like, no, it's never the case. It's never the case.
For what it's worth, I actually looked into this because somebody was talking about like Jokic in the playoffs, and I was like, let's just check Embiid. And like obviously Jokic has gotten better like somehow in the playoffs every year. And then I looked at Embiid's, and like his true shooting percentage has gone down in every playoff series he's played in versus regular season. I think like since the first time he made the playoffs or something. I don't know. There's one year when he played 4 games in the playoffs, and I think his true shooting percentage went up or something. But besides that, his efficiency has always gone down, which is fine. Like, that's to be expected. I don't know. I'm not with you. I think Embiid's great. I feel like he's one of the few players in the league who could lead their team to a champion, who can be a true one on a championship team. So I'm with you in that he's like a frustrating player to watch. And I'm with you that his tendencies, things that help him be so effective in the regular season, are less likely to occur in the playoffs, like his foul baiting, all that stuff. And I also agree with you that he is an injury liability. With that being said, I just still think he's a really, really good player. He's a really good player on both ends. And I think the Sixers are live because of him. You said that they're not going to win a championship because he's on the team. That's kind of insane to me. No offense.
They're never going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, he's gonna disappoint again, and we will be back here in like 3 months, and I will be laughing. But also like, but if it's a matter of like starring the team, give me like someone like Kawhi. Just give me Kawhi or Paul George for Embiid. Like, easy. Like,
I agree. I would, on this team especially, I would prefer Kawhi.
I mean, they're both guys that you have to rap in bubble wrap, but yeah.
That's fine. We have the team for it. We have the floor.
Well,
Sam, there was some big news tonight. Neither Russ or Kawhi has a minutes restriction tonight.
But
so
Paul George does.
Yep. So the Clippers are.
It's always something with that team.
Telling you.
We got Ace Bouchard. He says ECFLFG.
I think it's live.
I
think it's live. I think it's live.
Eastern Conference Finals for the Knicks, first since 2000.
I think they would have to play the Celtics. they would have to play this. It can't be the Bucks. It has to be the Celtics. And yeah, because I think Randall, if he doesn't play with his head in his ass, they don't really have an answer for him. I think the Bucks can always throw Giannis on somebody like Randall, and that just kind of like it's fucking Giannis. And he's also like arguably the best player. He's the best player in the East. I think the thing with Tatum and Brown is like, I think the Knicks have the ability to match their firepower, and I also think the fact that the Knicks have, I mean, also Robert Williams is hobbled. He isn't really playing as much as well. I think the Celtics can outscore us, but I also think that the Knicks have, for some reason, I feel like I trust the Knicks playoff defense. I don't know why.
Well, our playoff defense last time we were in there wasn't that bad. It was
It wasn't bad. It was the offense.
It was the offense that was so bad that was the reason why we lost.
I don't know. I just kind of feel like they really don't have a good answer for Randall, the Celtics. Like, it's Al Horford, but like
That's if Randall doesn't turn into a pumpkin again.
Exactly. But if he does turn into a pumpkin, then it's like, well, it doesn't matter. But in the ideal world where Randall isn't a pumpkin, Brunson is able to contribute as a scorer. I think we need RJ Barrett to get his head off his ass. I think the Knicks have the pieces. Like, if you look at like the rosters, I get that the Celtics are very loaded, but it's like, you think someone like Mike Muscala is going to play significant minutes? I doubt it. Do you think someone like
the rotation is going to get probably significantly cut down?
Like Sam Hauser's not playing any minutes.
They're probably going to play like Grant, Brogdon, and White off the bench, and that's it.
Grant, Brogdon, White, and maybe someone like Williams. I think Williams. They'll probably play 9.
So wait, what do you in that scenario, Sam? What are you projecting as their starting lineup?
Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Horford, and Williams.
So Horford's a starter. Okay.
Horford and Williams, yeah.
And then it would be like
off the bench. It'll be Grant, Brogdon, and White.
Yeah, that's their rotation. I 100% agree. And they'll stagger Horford and Robert Williams pretty well, so that they're unless they want to go really small. But yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Like, you're not gonna see Sam Hauser, you're not gonna see Mike Muscala. So again, and you look at the next top 8. Like, I don't think there's a significant gap there. I don't think so.
They have Tatum.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like, no, I'm talking about like the next top 8. Like, aside from like the stars, of course. Like, okay, aside from like the stars of each team, like, do you think the supporting cast are like so drastically? Like, I don't think the supporting cast is drastically like.
Well, you're always guaranteed to get like one of those insane shooting games from either Brogdon, White, or Marcus Smart, or 2 out of the 3 together in a game.
And
so there's always that.
Like, I think Quickly is live to have like one of those games too. Quickly is live for that.
He is, but like, our luck against those type of shooting nights is like so bad because of the way that we game plan against those type of defense. Again, like the way our defense game plans against that type of shooting, it's so hard to like mitigate against that unless like Thibs really leans into a heavy shift. And like, maybe he does it because it's a playoff game. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just tells the guys to execute harder. Like, I don't know. So it's like, it's.
I just want to add one thing to what Sam said, because I agree. I think we can beat Boston. I think we'd be big underdogs, but I think we'd be live to beat Boston. And I think we can beat Philly and Cleveland. I think that Milwaukee is the one series where Tibbs would shine brightest, because I think he would specifically build a matchup to make non-Giannis players build it's not a matchup, a scheme. I think I'd go as far as to say Tibbs is the number one coach I would want to be coaching specifically in a playoff series against the Bucks. No other scenario, but specifically against the Bucks. It would be in that moment that I would be like, thank God Tibbs is our coach. I'm going to be fucking furious when it's the first round and we're doing the same stupid shit and we lose in the first round, like if that happens. But if we played some big second round series against Milwaukee, I would trust Tibbs to make Drew Holiday, make Grayson Allen. I would just trust him to build a wall in a creative way that makes it as difficult as possible as Giannis. I agree with Sam in the sense I actually think Giannis is the best player in basketball. So like when I was saying about Jokic earlier, it was specifically regarding the structure of what the MVP is. The MVP is, to me, the most valuable player during the regular season. But I don't think that means best player in the basketball, because if MVP went to the best player in basketball, LeBron and Jordan would have 15 MVPs each. So that's not what the award is. So yes, it's all relative, but I think that Tibbs would do a better job than just about any coach, save maybe the Celtics. The Celtics seem really well equipped to, with their personnel and their scouting, to defend Giannis. But I would just trust Tibbs in that. So do I think we would beat Milwaukee? No, I don't think. But I do think I don't think we'd be 0% or like dead to beat Milwaukee.
I can see that. I can see that. I don't know. I just have the feeling that playing the Celtics, I feel like the defense would be better. I think the defense would be better for Milwaukee series, but I feel like the Celtics just like I don't know what it is. I just, if Randall is
That
like
last game gave you a high versus them, didn't it?
I mean, we'll find out Monday if I'm right or if I'm just crazy. So
Yep, we'll see. Walt Clyde Frazier says they won this game despite Nickelback being the featured musical artist.
Dude, that
That's
was so
great.
crazy.
Honestly, I don't know what's up with MSG Network's music every Friday, but it's like the selection is getting constantly worse and worse and worse.
Dude, forget how bad it was. How is Nickelback still making music? I don't know. Like, come on, man. Enough's enough. Enough's enough. I mean, good for
Oh
them, I
my
guess.
gosh. Yeah, I mean, but yeah.
the check clears. That's all that matters.
Yeah, they're getting a check from MSG apparently and James Dolan, so
James Dolan probably does listen to Nickelback. That doesn't surprise me at all.
that's definitely his vibe.
Yep.
See, you guys are like, still alive. Like, you guys are young. Can you guys name a Nickelback song?
No.
Photograph.
Okay. You should.
Wow.
I mean, but like I was like, in middle and high school when they were peaking, like I know all of their just pure awful songs.
I spent way more time listening to Kings of Leon than Nickelback. I can admit that. Dude,
Wow.
17's a classic. Don't mess with Kings of Leon, dude.
I'm surprised that there wasn't like a video game like that you guys played that had a Nickelback song on the soundtrack, because like I feel like
I probably ignored it or
all the games I played were like, I just played the early WWE games, so it was just like a bunch of Saliva and Limp Bizkit, and then like I played a bunch of Tony Hawk, and it was just a bunch of ska. So I don't really think I had like the Nickelback crossover. I don't even think Nickelback really put like music in a lot of games.
They shouldn't.
Tyrese, is Reigns dropping the belt at WrestleMania, or is this run continuing?
Reigns dropped the belt at WrestleMania. It's happening.
It's been a hell of a run.
Okay, so like, yeah, they didn't really have their game. They didn't really have their music in a lot of games. Like
Good.
It was rock bands for the most part. They had SmackDown vs. 11. SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. What? Flat Out 2. Karaoke Revolution. Yeah, so like for the most part, it's just like song. It's like songs. So like, nobody's listening to Nickelback unless you're playing in a rock band, which makes sense.
So Jordan Bubb says it seems the 5th seed is ours for the taking, and maybe the 4th seed if things break our way. He also says huge games coming up against the Pelicans tomorrow, and the next week will be an important home stretch of games: Boston and BK at home, and Friday in Miami. Yes. Wow. Okay. Wow. These are all very important games. I mean, the Brooklyn and Miami games, especially. I mean, that goes into like seeding. Like, if we beat Brooklyn, we would be tied season series, right? Or
yeah, we'd be tied season series.
Okay.
And we should have the 5th seed. We probably might have the 5th seed by the end of the week. So
and then Friday in Miami, that's huge because that gives us a breakaway from Miami, and then we also have the season series lead, which would be. I mean, we already have the season series lead, right?
We're gonna play Miami 3 times in the next month. So like, I don't even.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, getting this win is still important because I mean that still keeps us distanced from them.
Yeah, we're a game and a half up, and we could be 2 games up, 2.5 games up by the end of tomorrow.
Yeah, I just say win these next. If we don't win the Boston game, at least win these next 3 out of the next 4 to give us some like really good distance and like progression towards that 5th seed.
Yeah. And honestly, again, I think the 4th seed is in play. The 4th seed is definitely in play for this team.
Almighty 4th seed back again.
Dude, they spent the last 2 years making that like a talking point on Twitter. If the Knicks were just managed to get back to the 4th seed, even if it was the 5th seed,
Full circle.
Almighty 5th seed, like that'd be hilarious. That would be hilarious.
Full circle moment.
Oh man, I mean,
I do wish like those the guys you see talking about like the almighty 4th seed. I think there's actually an interesting conversation to be had there about the value of floor raising versus the value of ceiling chasing. But they just like they don't engage or like incentivize a conversation. They just, like type in all caps and get like call anyone who disagrees with them stupid. And so it's just like it's frustrating because I do think that there is like let's I don't know, like we don't have to have it here, but there is like don't you want more for your franchise than just like battling in the first round? And if you truly do believe that is the ceiling for this team, I don't. I think the ceiling's higher. But if you truly do believe that the most, a team led by Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle playing this well, if the ceiling is losing in the first round, it's like, what are you doing? Like what is your goal as a franchise? Because it should be for more. And again, I said earlier, like, there will be legitimate inflection points when this franchise is going to have to make decisions and they're going to have to learn from experiences. And what happens in these playoffs is one of those moments because, it's just you don't want to pretend you know what's going to happen. I certainly don't know what's going to happen. But if certain things happen, how the front office reacts, how the fan base reacts is going to be very telling because I think this team is closer than a lot of other people think.
Oh, this is great. This is great. Oh, that ticker is going to be fantastic. That's going to be.
I finally figured out how to put tickers, so these are going to be.
This is going to be beautiful.
All right, let's get to the next comment. Meadow F asks, should we expect Brunson, Quick, Randle, Hart to be the closing lineup for most nights?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
You probably swap out maybe. I know Thibs too well. He's gonna swap out Quick for either RG or Grimes, depending on who has it going that night. But I think Hart is kind of like a mainstay now in the closing lineup.
Yes.
By the way, Grimes is kind of getting lost in the shuffle here. And I don't think Grimes should have closed tonight. And his man defense on Beal was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like legitimately awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And if Grimes is going to be the fourth banana, which I think he is of those four players right now, I think it's pretty clear that Tibbs has Quickly, Hart, and RJ above him. Tibbs should fudge his rotation so that at the 5-minute mark when Hart and Quickly come in, they're coming in for Brunson and RJ. Grimes should get a longer shift in the first quarter to get a feel for the game and earn closing minutes. Because if Grimes is never going to close, if you're taking away that fourth quarter shift from him, having him be the first guy out to start halves, you're capping his minutes at like 20 minutes a night.
Mm-hmm.
And Brunson's right now, like I said earlier, playing 40 minutes a night. So take, 4 to 6 minutes away from Brunson, get that number down to 35, and make sure Grimes gets 25 minutes a night. Let Grimes go until, the 2-3 minute mark of the first quarter. And get him more minutes against opposing benches. Get him his feet more into the game. Get him more minutes with more lineups. Let him play with Quickly. He doesn't really play with Quickly anymore.
Mm-mm.
Let him play with Hartenstein, who might, help him with his movement. These are things that can help Quentin Grimes because if he's just dead to close games, he's gonna get lost in the shuffle. And he's so good. Like I don't mean he's so good. Like he's almost an all-star, but
Look like almost an all-star over the All-Star weekend.
yeah, you look great. You don't want him to get lost in the shuffle, and you don't want his minutes to be capped. So yeah, I think that the rotation should be fun. I mean, let's be honest. I don't know what you guys think about this, and I'm curious to hear what you think about it. But in my opinion, Brunson and Randall both playing the entire first and third quarter is a joke. I think that's just like the laziest, dumbest rotation strategy of all time. And I think it's just one of those things that's hurting the team.
It is, especially after you like get done watching like other NBA teams and like you see how they play like their two best players and like how like one of them will be on the court for a little bit, then the other one will be on the court for a little bit, then like they'll flip flop, then they'll be on the court together for a little bit. Like it's never as extreme and as insane as Thibs does it. Like Thibs does everything to like the nth degree, and it shouldn't be done that way because like this is not a playoff game. We're playing regular season basketball. Relax, guy. Like seriously.
Yep.
I think what I feel about it is I'm okay with them playing the first quarter. I think that's okay. The third quarter is where I'm like, I think one of them should be pulled earlier. And I think staggering in the second half is more important than staggering in the first half. Because I feel, especially since Randall's first quarters have been so strong all season, I think giving him that leash is okay. I think if you are going to pull him, I would want Obi Toppin with the starters. I think that should be happening more. But Randall's first quarters have been so good for this team and so pivotal for this team getting off to good starts that, like, I don't think I want to, like, stop that. But I think I do think that, like, in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, like, I think Randall should be coming out earlier. So that way you could preserve him for maybe, like, 9 minutes in the fourth quarter if need be.
Yeah, my exact sub pat. First of all, if you guys remember, Brunson was always the first guy out of the game for like the first third of the season. I thought that was really cool. Like that was a way to get quickly more point guard minutes. I really like that Tibbs did that. So I would go back to that. My sub pattern would be at like the 5 minute mark, I'd pull Brunson, RJ, and Mitch for Hartenstein quickly and Hart. And then I would reinsert RJ for Grimes at about the 2 minute mark, 1 to 2 minute mark, and I would play Randall the whole first quarter. Like I'm working within Tibbs's paradigm here. But that would be my first quarter rotation. And then I would start the second quarter with Brunson back on the court with Quickly and Hart and Obi. Yeah. Wait, no, that's wrong. I wouldn't start. No. I would reinsert Brunson early in the second. But yeah. I just think it's better to get more combinations of players and really see what works. And like this team's depth is its biggest strength. This team isn't a star-heavy team. Tibbs' strategy would be more effective if this was like, a big three that we were trying to ride. But it's not. This team's biggest strength is its depth and its versatility. You have to try different things. You have to try different combinations. And I mean, we'll see what he does. But like Sam always says, if somebody tells you who they are, just believe them, and Tibbs has been telling us who he is for 2.5 seasons now.
He's been yelling it in our faces. Yeah. Like, he's the guy who literally says, he's like, I'm not good for you. And you keep coming back because you're just like, he's fun. And he is fun. And it's like sometimes you're just like, you're on a high and sometimes you're on a low, and you keep coming back for more. And that's what Tom Thibodeau is. We just don't know how to quit him.
We don't know how to quit him. By the way, Tyrese, you got a little wild on Twitter today talking about Jabari Smith Jr.
Dude, I said it. I literally told Press that like last draft cycle, and I was like, dude, he can't hit twos. Like, what are we doing if he can't hit twos? And people were like, he's number one. And I'm like, you don't pick a guy like that number one. And people are very shocked that he's struggling. And Houston is like everybody's gonna struggle with Houston because like it's Houston, they suck. But like he was clearly not a number one pick. But
I only brought it up because he started tonight 0 for 7, and I thought of your tweet and laughed after seeing that he. I mean, I'm not laughing at him. You never want somebody to struggle, but I was just like I said, you were getting a little outrageous on Twitter, and I was like, it just reminded me of you.
oh god, Houston's a shit show. Well, they're gonna get James Harden, so who cares? You get James Harden.
That's so weird. Why would he do that?
Because strippers and blues.
It's a good point. You make
it's an easier life when winning isn't,
He does not want pressure, dude. Like, I mean, like, I get ranks culture has infiltrated the NBA to a very negative thing, but it's like, I think James Harden literally is okay just making $50 million and hooping. Like, he's Dame. He's Beal. Like, I don't think he's like somebody who's like, oh, I'm this super uber competitor here. But like, I think he's a competitor, but I think he's also just like, if I could just get paid and chill and like, I'm not like asked to be this guy. And honestly, like, if they pay James Harden, like that team's done. That's the thing, like that team's done if they pay Harden like the money that he's gonna command. Like he's already what, 33? What are you doing?
Yeah, he was born in 89, I believe.
Yeah, he's 33, needs to be 34 this year. So like
I don't see why any team would give 34-year-old James Harden like a max. Like he's been a good player this year, maybe even a really good player this year.
Again, Houston would do it because he would still raise their floor to be competent.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And they don't have money to spend anyway, so like why not? So
I'm not sure he'd be like a culture setter though for like Jalen.
He wouldn't be a culture setter, but like he would. I mean, he's gonna make the team money. He's gonna realistically be really good for someone like Jabari Smith Jr. Like James Harden could literally make the worst of players absolutely like efficient. Like look at what he did for someone like Clint Capella. So like so I think it's fine for them. I just think it's a matter of like, and then if James Harden leaves, then like Joel Embiid is like not staying there because you have no picks and your only asset is like you have Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris, and that's going to be your trade package.
Harden's career is really wild because like
you guys see the new ticker?
James Harden to Emerson.
But like that 2018, I mean, Draymond Green has said it like. Because that was their second year with Durant, that was the peak of that team. Like Draymond Green has said, we knew we wouldn't lose. Like we were just like, that was the best we ever were, even though 2016 they won 73 games. In 2017 they won the title easier. I think they only lost one playoff game.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. And they said 2018 is the best they ever felt about themselves. And James Harden and Chris Paul with a team of role players was like favored to beat them at multiple points in series and took them to 7. And like that, winning that title for James Harden and Chris Paul would have been worth multiple titles in my opinion. And Chris Paul's hamstring just couldn't last one more game. Like that's just a wild, like, a lot of people like will make fun of Chris Paul and they'll, rightfully so. That game 5 against OKC is like one of the most hilarious choke jobs ever, but he has had just some brutal luck too, and that is a prime case of that in my opinion.
Yep, but he doesn't want it. He doesn't have a dog in him, unlike our Lord and Savior Julius Randle. So,
what do we got coming up, Sam? What are our next
comments we got?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Clyde Frazier says Randall and IQ deserve their flowers, but Hart was huge in the fourth and everything other than scoring. Not sure we win without him.
We don't. Like those dives on the ground for loose balls legitimately like saved that team.
Yeah, and this is why I'm gonna put on my rare Tibbs defender cap. This is why this shit's just really hard, because you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, and fans are always going to be reactionary. They're always going to be results oriented. But all of Hart, quickly, RJ when he's defending like he did tonight and processing like he did tonight, and Grimes, all four of them bring stuff. And it's on the coach to decide what is most important on any given particular night. And so, yeah, I can sit here and say from my couch, man, RJ really looked like he had it in the fourth quarter. He maybe should have closed. But Tibbs decided to close with Josh Hart, and Josh Hart made 3 of the biggest plays of the game, none of which involved him dominating the ball at all. They were pure hustle plays that helped win the game. Like Clyde Frazier said, I don't think the Knicks win this game tonight. I think we all agree with that, without Josh Hart being on the floor for those games. He, and to a lesser extent quickly, have a nose for the ball, and just they make shit happen that helps their team win. Do I think that Tibbs should just default to closing Josh Hart every single game? No, I don't think that he should. But it's really, really easy to be like, okay, this effort, this whatever it is that Josh Hart has that we've seen every single game, I can depend on that. I understand where Tibbs is coming from when he feels that way.
4-0 in the Josh Hart era.
Yeah, 100%. And so that's why I just want to, I always want to try and be reasonable. And I'm going to sit here and we're as hard on Tibbs as anyone. But this shit's not easy. And with the job the front office has done, I mean, they have a legitimate 9-man rotation where, 7 of those guys can reasonably be out there at the end of every single game. Tibbs' job is going to be hard, and I hope that these guys keep making his job hard, because that means they're all playing well. That's good for the team.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. I think he shouldn't default to Hart, but I mean, like you said, it's very hard to keep someone like that off the floor when they bring you so much. Like, even when he's not scoring, like tonight, he was not raining down threes, but yet he was still as effective as he was in his first 3 games where he was raining down threes, because the two, like, he didn't get the ball, but like the fact that he went for it and got a loose ball foul, which got us another possession, was huge, because that's something that that never happens to us. Like, as Knicks fans, like, we're not used to seeing the ball bounce our way, and it's due to like not having guys that like get dirty on the ground and get those scrapes and those knee burns and stuff like that. Like, we don't usually have guys that do that. So have someone like Josh Hart that does that and see it immediately benefit us in the 4 straight games that we've played with him, it's been huge.
Yep.
Yeah, that's perfectly said. Sorry, Tyrese.
No, you're good. He's just gonna be this team's like Starks, Mason, Energizer Bunny kind of dude, and I'm okay with that. And also, Leandro's going to take him to the cleaners this offseason and for free agent negotiations. I'm also okay with that. That hometown discount's going to hit different. When he's just like, think of how much you're going to love playing in the Garden for $14 million a year.
So, Tyrese, one of the things you talked about a month or two ago, before the trade deadline, you talked about wanting to acquire Gary Trent Jr. because of his contract situation. And you talked about how not only because you liked Gary Trent Jr. as a player, but also because with, who is going to be free agents in 2024 and 2025, the contract that we would likely re-sign Gary Trent Jr. for would be a useful trade chip. Do you feel similarly about Josh Hart if we extend him? Do you think the Knicks are in a similar spot to the one you described if they trade for Gary Trent Jr.? How do you see that playing out going forward?
I think because Josh Hart is older and he's not like a prolific scorer the way Gary Trent Jr. is, that like the idea of like, oh, he could centerpiece the trade isn't there. But like Josh Hart is going to have value because like he's a winning role player who fits from a lot of different teams, and also his contract is not going to be that exorbitant. I don't expect it to be that exorbitant. If I were to peg his value now, I'd say like 345. Like I think he's $15 million a year max. I don't really see him getting like 18, 20. Because like he isn't a shooter. He's a decent defender, but he's also undersized for a wing. And ultimately speaking, like he's good, but like I don't think a lot of teams go around at the rate to acquire Josh Hart. And plus, also he wants to be here. So like even on his last deal was what 336 or something like that. So like I think the Knicks would be like, okay, we'll do right by you. We'll give you like 342, 345. I think he'll take it. It'll be like,
he's at least getting 4 for 60, right? Like even if it's $15 million a year, he's getting 4 for 60, right?
I think it'll be 3 years. If he gets a fourth year, it'll be team option or non-guaranteed.
All right.
Because like you're paying for like 28, 29, 30.
Yeah.
31 would be like, well, he could be a decent player to 31. I think the Knicks will always build contracts in with like the ability to get out of it.
I guess what I was getting at though is, do you think that they're still setting up to make the trade? Like, do you still think that's the main plan?
Not with Josh Hart, no. If I were a betting man, and I'm not Sam, but if I were to like bet on what the trade package would probably be, it'd probably be like RJ and Grimes. I think they would probably trade like RJ and Grimes because they're not finishing games with them. They also have their elite this year, and that'll be
Quickly has beat the allegations.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Like I don't think Thompson was traded quickly. Like, and I think also because like I don't think the front office wants to trade quickly, dude. Like, I think they're gonna get extended this offseason. I think he's gonna get like a good bag. He might get near 20 mil. And I wasn't confident in him getting 20 million before the season, but like 478, 472, 478 with incentives, like I could see that. Especially if he's like top 3-6 man of the year, like they're getting that done. They're getting that done because they're not even letting him touch free agency.
And the hype has started for Emmanuel Quickley's
it's the national
campaign. Shout out to Sam Amick of The Athletic. He had an article that came out today where him and I guess some other reporters were discussing their like top 3 candidates, and I believe 2 out of 3 of them had Emmanuel Quickley in their top 3. So that is a good sign, and hopefully more reporters are catching on. I know Zach Lowe had a nice little soliloquy or a monologue about Emmanuel Quickley during one of his tidbits after our Celtics victory. And he spoke about Emmanuel Quickley. I posted it on my timeline. So, more and more national media is catching on to Emmanuel Quickley's impact finally. And, shout out to Emmanuel Quickley for continuing.
Wasn't a content
shout out to Emmanuel Quickley for finally, putting together a long, very long, consistent stretch of hoops to, finally show the masses what we've been preaching about. So, goes both ways.
He beat the.
It's a really good point. Like, when's the last time Quickley played a bad game?
It's been a while.
Like, I don't even mean like we used to say, like, and I don't think we were wrong, but we used to like say Quickley would have like a 2 for 9 game, and the 3 of us would be on here being like, yeah, but the process, like Quickley is defense, and like, yeah, Quickley's always been. That's why Quickley's always been an impactful player.
Mm-hmm.
But like, okay,
now he's putting together consistent scoring stretches where it's matching the output of his defense as well, and the playmaking and the rebounding.
We beat Philly by 11 at home 6 games ago, and he was 2 for 8 in 28 minutes and a team worst -19. So
wow.
There's a bad game. And then
I didn't even remember it. I scrubbed those from my memory.
Yeah, and then the game before that, he was 3 for 12 against the Clippers. So that's a nice little 2-game stretch where he was 5 for 20. But you take away those 2 games, and he literally hasn't had a bad game since like Indiana 20 games ago. Like, he's just good every single game ever since we put him in the starting lineup. He's gotten consistent minutes.
Mm-hmm. Once he got in the starting lineup, he was able to show Thibs, all right, this is what I can do. And then Thibs was like, all right, I guess I'll keep playing you off the bench a little bit more and more and more until, you know.
Dude, on November 27th, he played 10 minutes.
Insane.
Against the Grizzlies.
What game was that? I have to go see that post game.
We lost by 4. We lost by 4 to the Grizzlies. What the fuck? How did we deal with this? I'm looking at the game logs right now. 13.
I have to go back and watch that post game and just like see how we were, because like,
what is this bullshit? I can't believe this was a thing. I can't believe like 13 minutes, 16 minutes, 19 minutes. What the is Tibbs the luckiest human being ever that Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett got hurt and like God
yes!
like what the fuck is this?
Dude, Tom Thibodeau has been coasting on the fact that he just locks into shit forever. This man has Sierra's prayer. It's just I'm glad it works out, but Jesus, it's like pulling teeth. It's like trying to get a kid to like eat green beans because they're good for you, and he's just like, no, I don't want it. No, don't. And then like, he actually eats the green beans. He's like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, jeez, eat your vegetables, dude. It's not hard.
Dude, the DeMar DeRozan game quickly played 21 minutes. He had 15 points on 6 of 10 shooting. Was a team best plus 11, and we lost by 1. Oh my God, we should be what, like 5 games better than we are right now?
I know, dude. I'm not gonna get mad at it because they're still like a really good, they're a solid team. With like, Jesus Christ, this team really could have been like, I mean, they're probably gonna. I think they'll be around 50 wins, but like, man.
So Terry, to your point earlier, JL has it broken down. He says Randall shooting 40% from 3 in away games on 8.5 3-point attempts. At home, he is shooting 28% from 3 on 7.6 3-point attempts. Worst high volume 3-point shooter of all time at home versus one of the best in the league on the road.
Telling you, dude, 5th seed. They will win 2 games in the if they get to the playoffs, they're gonna win 2 games because Julius Randle decided to go off from 3 on the road. And I hope they're gonna lose a game because he's gonna go on 1 for 8. Telling you now.
And to purport this, in my opinion, ridiculous argument, but whatever, we'll go with it. If the Knicks start on the road where they're more comfortable, then the home games will come when he has gotten his feet wet into the series, he's gotten a feel for it. Instead of leading off with the home games, now there's less pressure. We steal one on the road. All of a sudden, that game 3 back at the Garden's looking mighty juicy, and he's already, played well. The pressure's a little bit off. I'm starting to talk myself into it.
Like, what's gonna happen is he's gonna go 11 or 20 from the field in game 4 or whatever, and like the Knicks are gonna go up like 3-1, but like he's gonna go 1 for 9 from 3. And you're gonna be like, oh my God, he basically just went like insane from 2-point range, and then like you could not hit a 3 to save your life. But he's also gonna go like 7 of 9 from the free throw line. So like, he's just gonna have a monster game. We're just gonna ignore the 3-point percentage. I'm telling you, dude, like Julius Randle, Julius Westbrook at home, and Julius Curry on the road is
Julius Westbrook. Oh man.
Russell Randle. Actually, no, Russell Randle sounds better. We'll do that.
Russell Randle. Wow. He's going for the alliteration there.
Yep.
All right. So Chris Bernhardt says, did y'all see Dame got insulted at All-Star Weekend because people keep memeing him? Dude acts like we're happy he's failing. He's such a Schwinn-approved loser. What does a Schwinn-approved loser mean, by the way?
Zach LaVine.
Is that really a Schwinn-approved loser? I don't think Schwinn likes Zach LaVine.
No, the whole point is like Schwinn-approved loser means that Schwinn hates your guts with a passion.
Okay.
So like Zach LaVine, Julius Randle 2020, 2021, 2022. Like if Schwinn talks about it, he goes like, "Shut the fuck up, dude! Or get the fuck out of here. You're a Schwinn-proof loser. Dame is a Schwinn-proof loser."
Yeah, I mean, Tyrese nailed it. Tyrese has gotten the back end of Schwinn rants more than any other.
I know Schwinn way too well for this shit. Schwinn
you guys have like the weirdest love-hate relationship I've ever seen, because you guys will be sitting there on a pod joking for 15 minutes, and then you'll just like innocently be like, I thought Randall was pretty good tonight, and Schwinn will just be like, "Shut the fuck up, Tyrese," and then just like go off on you, and it's like
all season was just me going, "I think Randall's a decent player in the right context." He's like, "Dude, shut the fuck up, okay? What are you talking about? Oh, like, what are we doing here, man?" That's Schwinn's favorite. He's like, "What are we doing here?" Like,
that is one of his favorites. Adult Donkeys, A Time for Turtles. What a name, by the way. That's an incredible name.
Yes, he can.
I have no idea what that means, but
he
says, "Can Hart be signed to a descending contract?"
Yes, he can.
Yes, he can.
I expected us to probably do that as well.
That's their favorite thing to do.
Like, if the Brunson got to sign a descending contract, they're going to sign Hart to descending one. It'll probably be like, I can see it being like 16, 14, 13. And then like maybe something like 13 again with a player, with a team option. Yeah. That sounds right. If it's like,
I gotta be honest, Tyrese, I think he's getting more money. I don't know, man.
No, I don't see a team paying him. I do not.
It doesn't matter. Like, so first of all, it's a Tristan Thompson situation. Like if negotiations go bad, the Knicks can't, because they have to extend quickly, or they're eventually going to re-sign quickly, and they're already operating over the cap, even losing Fournier. So it's re-sign Josh Hart or get nothing. So everybody laughed at the Cavs when they gave Tristan Thompson that contract, but he had all the leverage. Like, the Cavs had this set team, and Tristan Thompson, you can make fun of him all you want, he was essential to that team. And it was either re-sign him to a ridiculous contract when he shared an agent with LeBron, or lose him for nothing. The Knicks don't want to lose Josh Hart for nothing. They'd look really stupid. So Hart has more leverage than you're giving him credit for.
Yeah, but I don't think the fact that Leon Rose was his agent kicks in here.
I think that's even more reason they would overpay him. I think Leon Rose would give him like you're my guy. Like,
yeah, okay, but like his last contract was 3 for 36. So so I think he'll get more on his next deal, but like I don't think he's gonna get so much significantly more than what he's making now. Is my point. So like maybe $2-3 million pay bump. I think he's had 3 for 38 essentially. If he goes like 3 for 45, that's still a raise. So like.
If he goes for what? Can you say the number again? I'm sorry.
3 for 45. Like,
dude, no way. I'm sorry. Yes. No way. If we get him for 3 for 45, I'll friggin' get on here and you can tell me whatever song you want me to. I'll karaoke my ass off on here and embarrass the shit out of myself. If we get him for that number, you can pick any song you want. I'll sing it for our viewers. And I have the worst voice ever, and I'll fucking sing it. There's no chance that we get him for 3 for 45.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Okay, first of all, clip this. Second of all, Sex on Fire by Kings of Leon.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's as white as it gets. I'm there, man.
Exactly.
I can sing that shit.
You can do 17 or Sex on Fire, your choice. But
I'll say my number is 4 for 70.
Oh my god!
I bet he gets 4 for 70.
Josh Hart?
Yeah, 17.5 a year. Dude, that's $2.5 million. It's an extra year and $2.5 million a year more than what Tyrese just said. You guys are acting like that's crazy.
I know. I don't think
4 for 70 would get the Lou Dort reaction out of me for him, man.
I can't see that. I can't.
How is that? So I still. What if
I think the extra year,
right, with a team option on the 4th year. So 4 for 70 with a team option on the 4th year.
Okay.
I mean, you guys better be clipping this. Dude, if we get him for 3 for fucking 45, that would be crazy to me. I don't know.
I cannot see. Like, I don't think the Knicks are gonna do. Like,
I guess we'll see. I
Four
guess
for,
we'll see.
4 for 70 would indicate that he's getting 17 and a half per year. I just can't see a team paying him that. Like, I get it's like $2 million less, but like, that's.
I mean, what if I had you, Tyrese? You just said 3 for 45, right?
I mean, that's 15. It's 15 compared to 17.5.
No, I know, but if I had said 4 for 60 with a team option, would you have thought that was crazy?
No, because
Okay.
Yeah, I
So-
think it might be something like that where like it's 4 for 60, 3 for 45. But I do think it tops out around 50. 15 million. I cannot see a team paying him nearly $18 million. Remember, like you're thinking about like raises on the deal as well. Cannot see a team that's like, we're gonna pay Josh Hart $18 million right before the cap raises.
Man, you're hate. That's some hate on Josh. Like he's really good. Why are we?
He's
why are we
good,
underrated?
but
Like,
like
we were literally just talking about how we don't win this game without.
I know, but he's good in the sense of like he does the glue guy things. But like when guys get paid like that, unless you're Draymond, and Draymond is like a generational defender, like glue guys don't get paid. Glue guys do not get paid. Like he'd be getting more money than Jonathan Isaac got, and that was like at the peak of Jonathan Isaac, dude. Like I cannot see that happening.
Yeah. There's other examples though. I mean, Sam just said Lou Dort.
I mean, Lou Dort had to get paid because like OKC just like
Had nobody.
yeah, and like they're OKC.
Didn't John Collins make like
$125 million, but John Collins was averaging like 18 or 40% from three.
I'm just going.
He's
through
a
the
bum,
teams
and they're
now.
trying to get rid of him now.
What is like Kelly Oubre making?
Kelly Oubre is making $12 million a year.
Whoa, really? Oh, okay. I thought it was. I would have assumed it was way more.
Yeah, so like, dude, if Grant Williams, like that'd be like what Grant Williams got, like, or Grant Williams is probably going to get in free agency. I cannot see a team paying more for Josh Hart than Grant Williams or something like that.
Man, I guess I'm just biased. I mean, I would.
I know, I get it, but it's like that would like I don't think like guys who don't shoot, I don't think really get paid like that. And he's a decent shooter, but he's not like a shooter to put it into like layman's terms. So like I can't see it. I can't see it. But if it happens, I'm not going to complain because like I want Josh Hart on the team. But I cannot see him getting like Fournier money. He get around the same price as Fournier.
Walt Clyde Frazier says I have to sing Nickelback, not not Kings of Leon.
I don't know enough Nickelback.
Don't they? Didn't they sing that song? This is how you remind me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Nickelback. I know that song, Photograph, and you know I can. Do you guys know Sugar Ray?
Yes.
That's like some '90s, some white ass '90s shit. Sugar Ray and Nickelback are very confusable. They're both off. They're both, you know.
Well, I'm all there for white 90s shit. I know more than I want to admit. So, yeah, man. Like,
yeah. See, like that's the thing. Teg's question. I was saying before the season that I would have given Quickly 4 for 80 before the season. Like I was like, we should lock him up for that. He's gonna.
That's what they're gonna end up giving him.
He's probably gonna get that now, but like think about what had to happen for him to get that. He had to have like a sustained stretch of really efficient and very consistent play himself into 6 Man of the Year conversations. Essentially, like a lot of things needed to happen, and like now he's gonna be in that range. But before the season started, while he was still like kind of slipping a bit, like I don't know. I just think the season that Mitch had last year, and he got 4 for 60. I just don't see like.
That's actually a really good point. Man, that Mitch contract is crazy.
And it's descending, dude. It's nuts. It's nuts.
I can't believe there are people who I really hope there's not video of me somewhere bashing that contract, but I feel like there's not. I feel like I was there the whole time. But man, that's a really good
I
deal.
called it in like February before the trade deadline. Before he got extended, I was like, yeah, he's doing it for 60. Like, I just.
We haven't really talked about Mitch tonight. We haven't said much about Mitch. I didn't think he played that well. What did you guys think of his game?
I thought he was okay.
I like the possessions where he got the
us.
offensive boards for us. But I mean, other than that, he was okay. For his first game back, he wasn't like absolutely terrible, but like I think he'll be fine. Like he didn't look like totally like gassed or like out of shape the way he did when he was like first returning from his injuries in the beginning of last year.
Yeah.
So that's encouraging. You know, his conditioning isn't all that bad. And yeah, he was active out there. I mean, like he got on the floor a couple times, and you know, I wasn't concerned about his well-being. So there was that. But yeah, I think he'll be fine. I think, you know, once he gets into the rhythm and the flow of how the team has been playing the last couple of games with the last couple of months without him, I think, you know, he'll fit in nicely and the team will just, you know, continue to roll. And the team will finally get back up there defensively, because I think that's where they've missed him the most. Because like while the offense has trended upward, defense has taken a sunken decline. So yeah, it'll just be nice to see him get back to his defensive identity and help the team, you know, get back to where they were defensively.
Yeah, the point about his fitness is really a really good one. Maybe it was like the new cornrows, but when he stepped on the court, I really felt like, man, he's looking like trim. Like, so I agree completely. He's just, man, he is kind of scary though. Like sometimes he'll just randomly start limping, and you're just like, fuck. Like, just
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't mean that as like throw shade at him. I just thought like, oh, like the hard, like there were times earlier this season, and to be fair, part of it had to do with how bad Hardenstein was playing. But there were times earlier in the season, like where whenever Mitch came out, it's like, oh God, you know, like not Hardenstein. But now it's like, you know, like tonight I was just like, all right, like it's fine, you know, like Hardenstein can do. Yeah. But I do think the best version of this team does have a fully engaged Mitch, obviously. So need him to get back to doing what he was doing. And unsurprisingly, he led the team in plus minus, like per usual.
Yeah. Also, like the compression shirt made him look massive. Like his arms were just like brolicky, and like you look at rookie year Mitch. Dude, you look at rookie year Mitch. You did not think that was gonna happen. Like strength and conditioning has done him well. Now, if it trended to his lower body, that'd be great. But
yeah, he's got to stop skipping leg day.
So Tech says, yeah, paying a 6-man, 20+ mil a year, kind of bad. But if we don't, some other team will happy to scoop IQ up for real. I mean, I guess, but like IQ's not your common 6-man. Like he does so much. Like he could be our starter.
I also disagree with the idea that paying 6-man is bad, because like Malcolm Brogdon is making $22 million a year. Derek White is making like 18. Norm Powell's probably finished second, is making around what? Like Norm Powell got like 5 for 80. Like the best 6-men in the league get paid. Like Tyler Hero won 6-man of the year, and then he got like $120 million guaranteed.
And he became starter.
And, yeah, and the thing is too. Sorry to interrupt you, Terry. So I just want to say, Quickly is not like all these guys are prototypical 6-man because they're primary scorers. But what's keeping Quickly out of the 6-man of the year conversation is what makes him more, because he's a fine scorer and he's been way better at it lately, as we were alluding to recently. But he is good enough to be he can play point guard, he can play shooting guard, he has the ceiling of a guy who can be a starter at either of those positions, and he's way better at defense than like any of these people. So I sort of reject the idea of just painting one broad brush over all these players as if they're, all of the similar ilk. I think that quickly has sort of elevated himself above that tier of players, in my opinion, in terms of impact on the game.
I agree. Like, if Duncan Robinson got 5 for 90, then like Quickly's good. You could make Quickly, you're fine. Also, wow, that Duncan Robinson contract sucks. Anyway,
it's actually pretty funny. I made a bet with a friend like during the 2020 NBA Finals. He was talking about how stupid it was that the Heat were playing Duncan Robinson over Kendrick Nunn. And I was like, man, like Duncan was really good this year. And we made some bet. Like he was like, yeah, this guy won't be around in 5 years. And then we made some bet. I was like, well, he's gonna have a prominent role for a team in 5 years. I don't know what you're talking about. And we made this bet that whether he would be in the league or not in 5 years. And then after that season, he signed that contract. And I just like basically, like made fun of my friend. I was like, oh, you're so stupid. And now it's like, oh shit, is he even going to be in the league next year? Like, so it's kind of
crazy.
That contract is garbage, man. Like, it's bad.
I mean, wasn't that the offseason like where everyone just started paying all those like shooters and stretch guys?
Yeah, like
that was Joe Harris, the Davis Bertans year.
That's another garbage contract right there, Joe Harris. Ugh.
And all those guys, after they got paid, they all just like sucked like shit.
That before the
You guys remember the days when we wondered if we should just flip Julius's contract for Davis Bertans?
I remember those days. As a fan base, that was a collective conversation.
Yeah, I called all of you guys stupid. Rightfully so, I might add. They're like, yeah, like we can get Jay Crowder.
Christian Wood.
Oh, that was when Christian Wood got paid?
I think that's what people were like saying. Like, the Knicks should like go get Christian Wood and just like get rid of Julius.
God, you guys. Oh.
Terry, did you wanted to keep Randall after that first year?
Yes.
Man, that's actually impressive commitment.
Yeah, that's a huge commitment.
You talking about 1920?
Yes, after that year.
No.
I was about to say. I would say there was not a soul that wanted to keep him after that year.
I was off, but I was like, you know what? After last year, I was like, you know what? Like, I've seen this before. We could be all right, and now we're all right. It's okay.
Okay, so Tyrese, I feel like we're approaching the end, so I have a question for you as the community Julius Randle stan. Let's just say hypothetically speaking, the Knicks lose in the first round. So they lose in 6 to the Cavs or losing 5 to the Cavs. And Randle, I'm not going to project Randle's outcome. I think he'll play fine. Let's just say he plays fine, but it's clear that whether it's the coach, whether it's the players, there's a relatively low ceiling for this unit. Do you, in your heart, believe that if the Knicks targeted a star who would become, not in the way Jalen Brunson has become, like a star, somebody who would supersede Randle, do you think that Randle could still be effective playing next to somebody like that? Or do you think there's a point where they should look to deal Randle at his peak value if this were to play out? Or are you just so entrenched that you're just like, we have to keep Randle? Like there's no way you would ever look to trade Randle. What is your thinking on that?
I think if Tom Thibodeau's the coach, that Tom Thibodeau will play with like 3 all-star caliber players actually benefits Randle, because I think he would play with the bench unit. And I do ultimately feel that, like, I feel like even if you scale down Randle, he's fine. As long, like, I think he'll get more efficient. Like, he's going to be something like 62. If he's like even 18, 10, and like 3 or whatever, with like less than 2 turnovers a game, like, he's still going to be an efficient player. Like, I think my thing with him is just like, I think he can play within himself. I think he can scale down. I think he can scale up. We don't really see a lot of like Julius and pick and rolls or stuff like that. And I think that's a lot of that is coaching. But like, we saw it in New Orleans, he can play like off the ball stuff. He takes a lot of his, like, he can do a lot of the off the ball stuff because we saw him do it like the first third of the season. like where he literally would just like, I'm a facilitator. I'm just going to do a lot of like, I'm going to let Brunson have the rock. I'm going to let RJ take all these shots. I'll just get my offense whenever it's in the flow of the game. So yeah, like I think he's fine as a third star. Like, I think he's fine as a complimentary third piece. And like if they were to trade him, like I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay with them trading him, but it needs to make sense. Like if you're tearing it down, then like okay, yeah, trade him. I'm not gonna ask him to like stay around for a rebuild or whatever. But like, or if you feel like you could get somebody who could like fit the team better, like say you're trading him because you're getting Paul George and Kawhi, just like hypothetical, you know. Obviously not because they're injured, but like say hypothetical, you have like healthy Paul George and Kawhi, yeah, I'll do that shit. But like, I think it's gonna be hard to like trade a dude who's like at worst this season top 20.
Yeah.
And realistically, he's gonna make his another All NBA team. So like, it's hard to trade that guy. It's hard to trade a guy like that. He's just gonna be so effective.
Yeah.
All right. I think on that note, we can end off today's show because we do have one tomorrow after the Pelicans game. So thank you everyone that joined us and tuned in, left a comment. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. We're on our way to 1K subs. Shout out to everyone that has got us to 600 subs as we have surpassed that over the All-Star break. So shout out to everyone that's been subbed. Shout out to everyone that's been watching. We got links to everything in the description. We got links to everything in the description down below. Everything Strickland related is in the description. We got links to the site. We got brand new articles up, including one by our very own Jeff talking about RJ, how his vibes have been kind of counterweight to the vibes of the team. We also got a piece by Colin about IQ's sixth man of the year, his candidacy as well. We got links to the shop, the merch shop. We got brand new merch, new spring collection, brand new items. We got brand new t-shirts, hoodies. We got some remixes on some older items. So you guys definitely want to check all that out. I definitely got some pieces coming in myself, and I will definitely show them off on stream once they come in. We got links to the Patreon, another great way to support us. That gets you into the Strickland Discord, where you can interact with all Knicks fans that are Strickland supporters as well as various people from the site as well. And we got links to the Twitter to follow us there as well. And make sure that you are following us on Instagram at thestrick.land if you are not following us there yet. We'll be back tomorrow after the Pelicans game. Hopefully the Knicks can get another win and to continue this streak that we got going on. So we'll catch you guys then. Peace out.